Sonic the Continuation, Issue 13. So after Rouge Flames shades that the gun commander is too paranoid, we see a torn picture showing that he misses being with Maria as a kid. He needed that sympathetic moment after last issue. Then Grimer complains that they can't cut through the metal of the robots because it's even denser than Megatol. And it's humorous that he adds, also, the Grey One is seriously creeping out my research stuff, since Aspen's a masochist. I guess he's malfunctioning. Because who would program a robot to like being damaged? Maybe his boss just doesn't care enough to fix him because he still gets the job done, and doesn't get damaged nearly enough. I like this explanation. It explains why they won't all get killed. Grimer says that he could access their internal data through Brutus's processor because his brain can download from any source, apparently. As of this comic. Grimer's told to do whatever it takes, and he says he loves his job. Or is he being sarcastic? Well, if he does love working for Gunn, that's refreshing. Chuck's drone sees Brutus, and says from the air vent or whatever that he has to hurry. So, I have to assume that he said this when Grimer was out of earshot. Otherwise, that'd be stupid. Amy wishes she had something that could bash the door down with. Even if she had her hammer, it'd obviously be confiscated anyways. And if she could magically summon it like Archie, which wouldn't be original, I doubt the door will be broken down by it because it's a military door. She says that they're gonna have to come in to get them eventually, and once they do, they'll be in for a surprise. Amy says that heroes have to take risks like this. I'm glad she's like Sonic again. Sally surprisingly apologizes for being naturally cautious like she's supposed to be, and says that being locked up here is getting to her. Amy reassures her with her hand on her shoulder. They hear someone coming, though you'd think they'd realize it's the robot drone from the metallic clanking sounds they make or something. Amy punches the drone, and Chuck snarks that he'll send her a bill for any damages later. It's at least polite of him to insist on calling her Miss Rose for no reason, even after that. Amy apologizes, and he fortunately says never mind, and tells them to get Cosmo and the other two aliens out of here immediately because Guns could make a huge mistake. Despite the fact that he retired, apparently he still recognized Brutus. They're handed gun uniforms that he swipes from the locker room. It's so smart of Chuck to only interact with them by a remote drone instead of putting himself in danger. That's something even Rotor and Tails never thought of. Though the reason he sent the drone to them was because it'd be faster for the drone to get to them. But there is a second benefit. Then for some reason the human soldiers asked when they started hiring Mobian recruits. Didn't we see Mobians working for Gunn earlier? Oh, were those just cameos? Fuck Metalogic. The only way I'd know if they were cameos was that I read the description of the issue. It does make sense that one of the soldiers says that after Rouge was hired, it was only a matter of time. Amy climbs the ladder and sees skylights, and wants to have a peek at what they're dealing with. She sees Brutus's head, which is being used as a data drive to augment their military technology. I wish the guy trying to warn Grimer about someone had his text bubble actually connected to him. Grimer at least had a reason to tell him to be quiet right now because he needs perfect concentration to crack into the alien systems. I love seeing Amy and Sally in those black outfits for once. They're like spies. So they get Cosmo out of the tube while Grimer is distracted and she was sympathetically crying. Then they look over at White Elm and Rouge greets them and takes way too long to tell Amy that she and Topaz are here to help. So Cosmo likes her already. And Cosmo asking Amy how she threw her uniform off immediately doesn't justify the plot hole. Meanwhile, Sally is struggling with the cotton pants, which is amusing. As was Amy being annoyed at being called Pinky. Then the gun commander shows up and tries to guilt Topaz, who says that this is just generating hatred, not protecting humanity. Cosmo warns him that by holding Aspen here, they're gonna attract the Meteorix fleet to their planet. At least the commander does take in this information like an actual person would. Even if he says that he should have the robots destroyed because the technology is too risky. At least he admits that he might have been wrong and it was too risky. That's smarter than Gunn with the alien craft in the Sonic X comic. They did listen to reason here. Of course, he shouldn't have threatened White Elm with destruction, but still. I mean, for all he knows, Cosmo is lying about White Elm being good. Then Diabolon shows up, and he wonders who authorized his activation. And Grimer runs away in a panic with everyone else as they're all dodging a laser. Grimer asks the commander if he's alright. I guess he's sucking up to him. But if not, that's sweet. So Brutus speaks through Diabolon, saying that he hadn't planned on doing this for a month, but the technology these aliens have is too valuable to be destroyed. I guess the reason he waited for a month was because he wanted to have a large enough robot army. Amy recognizes that voice, and Chuck explains that Brutus had been playing possum all along and Gunn fell for it. How would Grimer reactivate him by accident, though? You'd think he'd have to intentionally hit an on switch on him. This issue by Okudo was about Chuck's drone freeing Amy and Sally from the prisoner's cell so they could disguise themselves as gun soldiers and rescue Cosmo. And eventually Diabolon gets activated by Commander Brutus, because he doesn't want the Metrix technology to go to waste when the commander wants to destroy it, because the commander actually listened to Cosmo warning him that the planet might be threatened by Metrix otherwise. Well, apparently Brutus didn't. Brutus should say that he thinks he can take the Metrix fleet. It's interesting how much there was to this plot that I had to summarize in such a long sentence. That's how much effort was put into it. At least Brutus' lampshades of playing possum for so long was degrading. Of course, the fact still remains that Brutus would never have his head still around by this point. So this plot wouldn't happen. He was frozen in liquid nitrogen by a mech suit of Robotniks and shattered. There's a reason SSL Online didn't bring Brutus back. I just looked back in an earlier issue. How did Brutus' head unfreeze a panel later? He should have shattered it like the rest of them. That's dumb. Okay, his head was intact, but that was stupid, to the point where I forgot it for a reason. And he still wouldn't have kept it around, especially not over 100 issues later.